All right, all right, all right. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Ergo AMA. I am your host, Dan, from Japan, Friedman, the Zengate CEO slash Ergo strategic advisor. And with me, I have the man of mystery, the man of stuff that always sits in front of other stuff. And his name is QX, and that just seems like it's like, quantitative extraction or something. Anyway, this guy to my over there, here, yeah, here, yeah. I can't get it right, man. Where are you? There you are. Yeah. All right, all right, all right, all right. So yes, I say hi to everybody. Quality Extreme.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, everybody. How you guys doing?
Well, I would have a good morning, except it's evening right now. So there's that.
That's right. It's 11 o'clock over there?
It's 10 o'clock, but who's
Yeah,
counting?
yeah.
All
So what's
right.
new over there,
So
Dan? How's your week been? How's Zengate been going? How's your interactions with blockchains? All that kind of stuff. What's new?
interaction with blockchain has been good. We've interacted quite a bit. We're talking things out. We might get back together again.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, it's we've been we just released an update to the Winter Protocol, which is really nice. We're actually expanding our Web3 libraries for the upcoming Palmyra Pro release. So that's going to be really cool. Going to be utilizing a lot more of the traceability modules in there. Also going to be working with the oracles, because that's where you're also going to have data collection coming in from the various producers when they actually go on this traceability journey. So that will be really, really interesting to start rolling out with our producers more and more. Yeah, we got MG Pie, the Magic Pie guy, at our office in Osaka right now. He's working away. Now, just don't worry, guys. I'm letting him take bathroom breaks like once a day. Okay. It's not like I locked him in a room with a computer and told him to program stuff the entire time. Okay. He does get some rec yard time and whatnot. Yeah. So yeah, just really starting to hammer out all of this good stuff with Palmyra Pro. Um, yeah, just and of course, while gearing up for Rare Evo, that's gonna happen. Damn, in like a month. Ugh.
Did you make reservations at the IHOP yet to make sure you get a
Yeah,
seat?
I have, and don't act like you don't know, because I told you that yesterday. I told you that the Airbnb that I got over there is strategically placed within a 6-minute drive from an IHOP. 6 minutes. We can be in an IHOP in 6 minutes.
We
Okay,
can
and
eat it
this
for
time
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Dan. All three meals.
you could listen. Country fried chicken steak is good for any meal. So there
Agreed.
is that. Yeah. Also, I'm actually going to be heading out to Bolivia. What the hell am I talking about? Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold right now, so I'm a little foggy from all the NyQuil I took. But no. The country next to Bolivia, Argentina. Heading over there. Gonna be doing some stuff on the ground. I will let everybody know as things progress what exactly it is. But basically, it is obviously to do with commodities. We're also going to be attending and sponsoring the ADN conference in Argentina, in Buenos Aires. As I understand, it is in the southern hemisphere, so it is super cold there right now, which is going to be weird because it's like 35 degrees outside Celsius in Japan. Yeah. So I gotta remember to pack warm clothes, which is gonna be really odd because I'm probably gonna go on the plane in shorts. and then I'm
Dan,
gonna be like,
can
yeah.
I ask what as far as what you do here, where you visit these countries, what's the catalyst for that? Like, what do you see a good that is being underserved or
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for us, so the commodities that we onboard have to check off several check boxes. So number one, it has to be over $1 billion, right? So the market share of this commodity has to be over $1 billion. The second one is it has to have some and and preferably nice infrastructure set up, right? So there is already some sort of trading going on, contracts going on, but they're just underserved, right? So they need to have more digitization. And the third one is just traction, so where uh is there really a need for this stuff, right? So what is the market size globally, and what is the access that we can provide for them? So Argentina has several really hot commodities in the bean sector, in the also in the metal sector, particularly in lithium. So it's actually a pretty large producer of lithium. So I'm going there to create relationships and focus on some of these commodities, mainly on lithium, to potentially bring it onto the Palmyra platform. And so lithium over there actually has various different issues that, as I outlined, are a problem that we can solve with Palmyra. Like, for example, market access. So while they do have quite a booming lithium industry over there, quite a bit of it has been kind of bought out by foreign interests, and so the value doesn't stay in Argentina. It gets moved to where they can actually transact with it. Now, also the other problem is that the grading systems in lithium and just worldwide are actually, there is no official grading system for lithium. And so what happens is, a lot of times with these emerging economies, so if they do stuff like sell lithium, they try to sell lithium to, the Teslas and the Panasonics of the world. Those guys have actually their own really, really strict quality assurance guidelines that need to be met. And so, say a country like for example, like Australia, right? They'll have a better infrastructure to accommodate that, right? So they will get first dibs. But what I think we can do with our platform is actually create that grading system for them, because we already are doing that for tea. To have this on-chain grading system for lithium, we can make agreements with the various entities in the field to adapt as the official grading system. So that's another low-hanging fruit. But essentially, it's basically creating more access. It's about creating more access to their industry. It's about opening up a global market for them. I'm also going to be potentially targeting local exchanges, commodities exchanges, because actually lithium is already traded mainly on the CME as futures. So there is already such a thing as lithium futures. And it's also traded on the LME, the London Metallurgic Exchange, or yeah, I think it's the LME, but the main one is the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange. So there is already, like, the groundwork has been laid down, right, for this. So it's very interesting because, yeah, while there is quite a bit of infrastructure already laid down, there's still quite a bit of underserving going on in that particular region, and I think we can fix that and give them that market access, give them the digitization that they need, and give them the organization that they need with Palmyra. Of course, all this tokenization is happening on Ergo, so this is good for us because we need to bring those transactions on chain. So yes, it's going to be very exciting because there's actually quite a bit of variety and complexity in the lithium trade, which we can then utilize the blockchain for. Yeah, so really interesting stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else before I dive into Sig and Ergo? Other updates?
Uh,
Oh, did you apply for Catalyst? Rosen got Catalyst, right? And
oh yeah, that's right. So the
for Bitcoin
Rosen,
runes.
yeah, the Rosen runes got approved. So yeah, more funds for the Rosen team. Good news for Ergo. Great news for Ergo because we're going to get more adoption for Ergo Tech. We didn't have any catalyst proposals this round. We were doing our fundraise, and so we figured we'd concentrate on one thing at a time. Yeah, but I'm very happy that Rosen got the funds, and I'm really grateful to the community for the support that they've given to Rosen because we did help incubate it, and I'm just glad to see them really kind of kicking ass.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. All right, let's see. On our side, on the SIG side at least, we successfully hit that multi-sig. It took a couple days this time, but we've pushed the funds. It was about $5,400 from the SIG's treasury. We pushed those to the merchandise supplier. So they are making custom merchandise for us. We're having hats, we're having shirts, we're having long sleeve shirts, and some stickers. And those stickers are those old astronaut stickers, the original back in the day. So those will be kind of retro and cool. So we're taking all that merchandise or some of the merchandise to Rare Evo. We're going to try to sell it so that not necessarily make too much of a profit, but to make the money back and also bring in SIG's money there. And then all the leftover stuff, we're going to start, as I said last AMA, we're going to try to work with Auction House and develop an on-chain kind of NFT represents a physical object. So you buy the NFT on Auction House, and then you get shipped the physical object. So we're working on that, which should be pretty cool. That's exciting. But for Rare Evo, we have a working document. I believe Dan's in that chat. Rosenbridge is in that chat as well. So we can figure out if we're joining tables, if we're going to keep separate. We're all kind of at the corner L shape of an island. So we have that opportunity that we can do that last year. Dan, you getting a couch? Is a couch a definite?
There will be a couch. Yeah,
Is it going to be
you're going to be sleeping
red
on
leather?
it. Yep. I don't know. I don't know. For you, I'll get pink, fuchsia pink.
So we have those things to figure out. Mark's got some good ideas as well. He's going to 3D print some keychains as well that we're going to give out or sell. But we're working on demos. I've talked to Mr. Pixel, and he's agreed to buff up a cyber citizen for us with like a jackhammer, like a fishing rod, and an apartment and a mining rig, perhaps, whatever he can do. And we're going to have a machine out there on the desk so people can play Cyberverse live with a pretty buffed up character, hopefully, so they can get a good feel for that. Of course, we're probably going to do the cake wheel giveaway where we give away the Twitter account again, and also NFTs and things like that. If you create an Ergo wallet, that was kind of fun, and a bunch of other stuff. Might bring a projector to make a big video and display that behind us, depending on what. Dan, are you bringing the big banner? No, you're bringing the big banner. Okay, all right, cool.
Yep,
So
bringing everything.
Nice. Yeah, so we're really looking forward to Rare. I'm going to go on a diet right now so that I can intake all those IHOP calories every morning.
Yeah, you're gonna be on endless pancake diet.
We'll be so sleepy by the time the conference comes on. That'll be great.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You know what? Every time somebody says Mark the Shark, I always think of that shark in Suicide Squad.
Oh,
shark dude.
Yeah.
The shark in jeans. Yeah.
Mark doesn't bite quite as much as that guy.
Yeah, and he's not voiced by Sylvester Stallone. Yeah.
But Mark also is working on, we're working on migrating the SIG pool SIG mining pool to a cheaper server. So that's hopefully this week we'll spin that up and do some tests on it to see how that does. But that'll cut our price from about $100 a month to $50 a month, and not even 40, $45 a month. So it'll more than half our price, which will then in turn bring more revenue back to the mining pool, which then brings more revenue back to the Sigmanaut treasury. So that's the end goal, is to have revenue streams for the SIGs. So that'll be fun. Mark is taking, more of the lead on that, which is fantastic. So I won't be slowing him down, hopefully, with that kind of stuff. We met yesterday and went over all the code for payments for the BTC and the Rosen and all those kind of conversions that we do in the mining pool. So he's got that to study up on so that he's fluent with it, and then should be smooth sailing after that. Cheese has asked me to fire up a separate mining pool so that he can test what's it called? Storage rent collection. So that's exciting. So I have to do that this week. I'll probably fire it up on the test servers that we're doing, and we'll get that tested for Cheese, which will be very exciting to be one of the first mining pools to collect storage rent. From what somebody said, I think right now there's about 400 or 500 ergs ready to be collected by miners. So once storage rent collection is being utilized for that specific mining. So that'll be a fun first paycheck for the miners in the SIGs pool when we get it. Yeah, so that's looking forward to that. What else? I think that's all I got. The SIGs mining pool also kind of split off on their own, a little bit more autonomous. They created a DAO, and they essentially gave 5% of the active tokens to the SIGs treasury, so that the SIGs also still have a say in it, and the SIGs mining DAO will essentially just be a little more autonomous, so they'll be voting on their own things, where the SIGs can also vote on it, and then they'll realize profits beyond what it costs to run the pool back to the what's it called? The Sigmanaut group. Yeah, I think that's all I got. That's all my old brain can remember for this week, Dan. We got some questions that we can shoot the shit on?
Yeah. We have some questions. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. So who are the current members of the EF? Are Joe and MHS off?
I don't think Joe's officially off. I think he's still there and voting, right?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not part of the EF, so I don't have an idea what goes on.
Yeah, I'm not actually in the EF. So yeah, I think
as far as I know,
there,
yeah.
There's a few people there.
Yeah, well, you have
Morphic. Morphic is in there.
You got Morphic, you've got Joe, you've got Glasgow, you have Justin.
Yeah, Glasgow.
Yeah. So that's still there pumping. I don't think Joe has. I mean, Joe's spoken about potentially leaving the EF at some point, but if he did it by himself and hasn't told anybody, because as far as I know, he's still participating in the EF.
Yeah. Well,
that would be Joe. Joe would stealth leave the EF and just not tell anybody. That'd be classic Joe. So it wouldn't put it past him.
I mean, he is the guy that has escaped to the. He doesn't he like own a mountain somewhere?
An entire mountain.
Yeah. So Joe's got its own mountain. It's Mount Joe. He can be anywhere on that mountain. Anyway, let's see. Do we know the answer to this? When will Gluon Gold mainnet launch?
I'm not sure about Gluon Gold. I know Dexy is gearing up now that Kushti has done a lot of work on version 6 of the protocol that he was working on for a while kind of put Dexy on the back burner. But I know that he's ramping that up more. So at least I know about Dexy Gold. That should be getting out there soon, sooner than before. That's for sure. But I'm not sure about Gluon. Don't have an answer to that.
Okay. All right. If you say so. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? So let's see. Okay. Let's see. Dan, what can the Pioneer testers expect for testing of the Winter Protocol? Okay. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but are you asking me what can they expect from testing it or for testing it? Because for testing it sounds like from, yeah, okay, yeah, because I was thinking for, I don't think there's any kind of actual like incentive given to them.
You're going to give them a thank you and a handshake.
Yeah, well, basically, I mean, you can essentially try and implement the shipping standard that the Winter Protocol supports in well, any kind of supply chain that that you're particularly currently a part of. So, I mean, if you're talking about Palmyra Pioneers, yeah, the Palmyra Pioneers will essentially be engaging in not just testing out the Winter Protocol, but testing out Winter Protocol on Palmyra Pro, which will essentially utilize the Winter Protocol in a more robust way. There's also, I mean, we're also hoping for other projects to be able to use Winter Protocol for their own needs, which is why it's open source on Ergo and Cardano. So I would like to see that. I'd like to see people kind of, forking the code, doing their own stuff to it, checking it out, telling us, giving us feedback. So all these things would be nice. But I think as far as what they can expect from testing the Winter Protocol, they can expect to be able to use the Palmyra Pro app to utilize it within their process of curation and then moving into commodity. And then we will do upgrades, obviously, based on feedback. So this is why we're actively working on bringing volume to the Palmyra platform. All right, let's go to another one here. Well, here's another nice one. So what about onboarding wine to Palmyra? Yeah, that's actually something that I have been very adamant about. This is actually one of the first commodities that I considered even before tea, because of the connections that I have in Georgia for Georgian wine. Now, Proxy's NFTs are actually also behind the Blazer Labs, and Blazer Labs right now is working with the Moldova wine industry to onboard them onto the blockchain. And so I definitely would like to bring on Moldova wine onto Palmyra. We just need to figure out exactly how that would work. I mean, exactly what are we doing? Are we creating a forward contract for actual, barrels of wine? Are we doing something where this is going to be like fractional ownership of, and like, for example, if you do it with whiskey, you can do a fractional ownership of a cask, and then as the cask gets bottled, you obviously, the value of your asset goes up. Potentially, that's something we can do with wine as well. So there's many different ways we can utilize the Palmyra platform with tokenization in wine, but we just need to figure out exactly how that works, or what works, actually. All right. Okay. Hey, so QX, been meaning to ask you, have you gone through all the, are you stuck, or is that you just have the same expression on your face for like 20 minutes? Okay, you're not stuck. It's just an expression. Okay. That's what I feared, actually. Have you gone through the last Ergo hack submissions?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
This week I paid out $7,100 ergs to the community awards. So if those of you weren't following, Kushti had started a fundraiser for community awards for the Ergo hack. This is separate from the EF 10,000, 8,000, 7,000, whatever those were, SIG USD rewards. So Kushti started it, and I think it was MX came into chat and had said something like, I'm pretty sure it was MX, had said something like, hey, I want to pay any devs, to do this or that kind of thing. I want to donate. And I said, just dump it in the community awards. And he did. Freaking crazy, man. So he dumped like 6,000 to 7,000 ergs into that. So that was amazing. So we had a ton of ergs to reward the community. It was all voted on Padilla. And I just distributed that the other day. And we decided to go full deep. Everybody, we did a scaling thing with how many votes you got. So there were 2 third places, 2 fourth places, and maybe 2 fifth places, if I can remember. So it was pretty well divided. I think first place was only 1,500 or something like that. Second place was 12 or something hundred. So you can see that it was pretty well divided and scaled down. So that was great that we got those out. But Ergo hack honestly was amazing. This I mean, it's amazing every time, but this time you could look at it and I really thought to myself, holy shit, this is going to be really hard for the EF to figure out who was first. But they did. I feel bad for Rustin, my eye. We volunteered him from the SIGs, him a little begrudgingly to help judge for the EF. And that man takes it seriously. So I'm confident that he went through everything, at least from the EF side of the rewards, to do that. But as far as EF rewards go, there's still 1,000 ergs left from the community rewards that Mark Glasgow wanted to distribute to everybody. So each team, all 10 entrants will get 100 ergs. And then I believe Angie's in charge of releasing the other rewards for the main thing. And I bugged the piss out of Joe to see what he's thinking for the Rosen rewards. Because if you read the Ergo hack, it says plus Rosen distribution. I'll bug him again today. We'll see. Sometimes, yeah. Just got to keep on the horn about that. But yeah, Ergo hack's awesome. It was great.
Yeah, and it gets better every time. Like you said, it gets better and better every time. This is why I think I should be able to bring in some. And actually, we had some conversations about this already with some people in this ecosystem about bringing. Just bringing outside ecosystems into Ergo to, like say the newer ones that have more funding, but they just don't have the talent to build out the tech. Ergo can build out the tech during Ergo hack. And since it's open source, they can then utilize it on their platforms. I mean, obviously, depending what their core infrastructure is or what their core code base is. They could utilize the code and build out their own libraries like that and build out their own base like that. So I think that might be really good because there's some ecosystems out there that actually, they do have a nice, strong community. They do have the resources, but they just don't have enough built out, and they don't have they haven't built the muscle of building things out like we have in the Ergo ecosystem. So, yeah, I just think that would be a good, kind of vector for us to slide in on, because I mean, and why would it work? I mean, look at Rosen. Just look at Rosen. Rosen built out tech. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but Rosen built out tech in a large and then bridged this with a large ecosystem like Cardano. And people love it. People love it in the Cardano ecosystem. People love Rosen, obviously, and for good reasons, because it's great technology. But it's just an example of how, yeah, Rosen is built on Ergo, but it is also multi-chain, and it provides the ability for other chains to participate. And the Cardano community felt that it was valuable for them to have that technology on Cardano and to connect Cardano with all these other chains, and that's why the Rosen team got funding for the Ethereum bridge or the EVM bridge, and this is why they got funding for Runes, because they know they can deliver. And so I think that's actually something we can take across to other ecosystems as well, because other ecosystems know that we can deliver. So I'm really excited about that.
I agree, and I had to the swag payment of 5,400 ergs. I had to convert to fiat. I fucking hate converting to fiat. It's like one of the worst things in my life that I have to do once in a while. So I'm in the US, so it's not easy for me. My wife has an exchange on Gate because she's also has a Peruvian passport. I believe it's Gate. But I didn't go that route because I'm always nervous about putting stuff on central exchanges for too long and then trying to get them out. So I had the choice of going through something like SimpleSwap or going through Rosen to the ADA pool, then straight to Coinbase. So I tried it. I sent a bunch of it. I sent most of it over Rosen, but some of it over SimpleSwap. And with SimpleSwap, I went right to USDC, right to Coinbase. And with Rosen, I went, of course, to Rosen Erg. But Rosen Erg beat SimpleSwap over to the other chain. So that was fun. But then I had to, use Splash to swap to ADA, and then ADA to Coinbase, which, probably only took 10 minutes for that. But it was a good experience and to compete the two against each other. But honestly, when I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, I've got 6,000 erg it was, because I had to take room for slippage. I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm saying, okay, should I just send 3,000 through SimpleSwap and 3,000 through Rosen? And about 10 seconds of thinking, I was like, I don't feel comfortable enough to send $3,000 through SimpleSwap or StealthX or those services. So I only sent 500 ergs through SimpleSwap, and I sent 5,500 ergs through Rosen, and I was still more nervous about SimpleSwap. So that's kind of an example of knowing your assumptions, knowing what Rosen is. SIGs are part of Rosen, so we know what the watcher is, we know what the guard is. I can watch it every step of the way. Anybody can watch it on chain every step of the way. Whereas SimpleSwap and StealthX, I'm not dissing them. I'm just saying that's a black box. You don't know what exchange it's going to exchange with, if they're using a local liquidity pool that they have on their own ledger, or they're going out to some other service provider and getting that and swapping that, and then customer support. With Ergo and Rosen Bridge, I mean, you can see it every step of the way. You can see it in the console of your watcher. You can see it in the console of the guard. You can see it in the events of the main dashboard on Rosen Bridge. So really, it was like, 5,500 ergs through Rosen Bridge. That's like tying my shoe. It's not a stress in the world. 500 ergs through SimpleSwap, I'm sweating a little bit because I don't want to have to pay that if it fucks up. So that was an interesting experience. And speaking of open source tooling, Dan, and that kind of stuff, we've got a question from Mark the Shark that I put up there. He says, Dan, can you pay MG Pie to update Erg Pie? Please, sir, please. So Erg Pie is beloved, Dan. So it's like the lowest barrier of entry. If you know Python, you can write transactions, you can mint NFTs with Erg Pie. And I know MG Pie, it's one of those things that he made early on when he joined Ergo. And it's one of those things that in his head, I'm sure he's like, well, let's just die so people can use Fleet SDK. But what he needs to realize is that his level is at Fleet SDK, where he can, program that kind of stuff directly. But many people's level coming into Ergo, they see Erg Pie and they're like, oh, this is golden. I can just build a transaction and send it with Erg Pie. Amazing. And they may never get to that Fleet SDK status, and they may never need to because of a tool like Erg Pie. So I know I'm a proponent and always banging on MG Pie's door to make sure he doesn't forget about Erg Pie. I think the only thing that people are asking for is that he makes the chaining of transactions more robust so that it's much easier to send. So It checks during the transaction building or something. It'll check the mempool and not take a box that's already in the mempool, so that you don't have double spends or
All right, all right.
fails.
I'll
Just
ask
to
him.
keep that on your plate.
I'll ask him. I'll ask him. He likes to slack off and sleep and
Right.
stuff when
I know he's got at
tired.
least 4 hours. He's got 4 hours
Yeah,
in the day. that he's
he
not
wants to
working
he
on
wants to get at
there.
least 4 hours of sleep a night. I don't know how these kids, I don't
It's so
understand these kids
selfish.
with their work ethics.
All right, let's answer a tough one, Dan. Right here, by your favorite guy, the Big 3D. So the Big 3D says, I'm struggling to keep people I know invested in Ergo, a lot of them selling due to lack of excitement and continuous price decline over the years. I guess we're getting into price discussion and that kind of stuff, Dan.
Yeah.
You want to start on this, or you want me to start?
Why don't you start?
Okay. So if you're entering crypto purely of speculation and purely of the mindset that you're comparing Ergo to chains like Solana or chains like, I don't want to say Caspa, or chains that are purely funded and
Aptos.
bolstered and propped up
Yeah,
by big
up to Sui.
by money. Okay. So that's what you're seeing. You're comparing a chain that has a grassroots initiative, that has a foundation that focuses on builders and developers and funding them, and a community organization that also focuses on the projects that are there and working on marketing besides that. If you're comparing that to Solana, where somebody can come in and just murder the price or pump the price in a matter of minutes, right there, for their own benefit. And other places that have these massive treasuries that are funded by outside resources that have a say essentially in particularly the direction of those chains. You think if you come into a chain and you invest 10 million into a chain, you don't think that people designing the chain and working on the chain aren't going to listen to you when you tell them to do something, you ask them to do something. So that's the risk benefit that you're getting from those kind of pumps over there. So my thought would be, it's really not. I understand why you do it. To general people, all cryptocurrencies and blockchains look the same, but I don't think it's a proper comparison in that way. And I would also hesitate to say that every time I hear a complaint about the price going down or that kind of thing or not following, it follows the rest of it a couple of days later. So yeah, I don't know. And as Joe would say, at this point in my life, I'm not really focused on that part of it. But yeah, that's Dan. What do you say about that?
My gauging of an ecosystem, as you know, especially an ecosystem like Ergo, is different than, say, my gauging of an ecosystem like, say, Doge, right? There's different types of ecosystems out there. There's different types of blockchains out there. Some of them are just you come in there if you want to screw around to make a buck. Price, numbers go up, numbers go down. That's what it's all about. If you're in Ergo merely for that factor, in the wrong place. Ergo is a long arc. Ergo is a community that is built organically, that was not founded by what you were talking about, by the VC cabal, the Aptosuis of the world, with whatever, $1 billion in the piggy bank. All the growth you see here is organic, and all the and none of this has been artificially, artificially injected. Like, for example, like with Aptos, right? I remember when Aptos launched, like one day, just all of a sudden, Aptos is in the top 50, and they have like 200 projects building on it. I'm like, the what now? You have 200 projects building on this thing, really? 200, really? Yeah, bullshit. It's that's what it is. But yeah, the price pumped. A couple of simps like us made a few bucks. Most of the money went to the guys that pumped all the money into it. the big boys with the tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars and the funds and all these guys.
Yep.
Those guys made the money. I mean, really. And with Solana is the same way, the same thing, even with all these other ecosystems, it's the same thing. The big boys, as you said, pump the money in there. They're the ones that are making money. Okay. This is not sustainable organic growth. Okay. So looking at those numbers.
You're the product. You're the product.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So to me, like I said, it's okay to also be mindful of the price. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yep.
People want to see it go up, right? But to me, an ecosystem like Ergo has more intrinsic value than just numbers go up. And if that is the reason why you're in it, you're in the wrong blockchain. You're in the wrong ecosystem. There are people in this ecosystem that are building, that are excited about the ecosystem. We can see this, by the way, the ecosystem has been growing. I mean, it has expanded. We have projects that have been they have gone cross chain, but they're still building on Ergo. Rosen is still building with Ergo tech. Palmyra, Zengate, we're still building with Ergo tech. And we're going to continue building with Ergo tech. There's other projects out there that are still building and will be building with Ergo tech. And it's okay to go cross chain. It's okay as long as you don't grift, as long as you actually have a reason to go cross chain. So I see the ecosystem. Yeah, it has grown exponentially since last year. It has grown. It has matured. And sometimes, price doesn't reflect that. And I mean, that's just the nature of the business. I mean, many times in the crypto world, in the blockchain world, price doesn't reflect real progress. It just doesn't. It's just all about the, it's big, but it's small enough to be manipulated by the big players. And look at the German government. They make Bitcoin dump how much is because we're just going to sell this Bitcoin. Mt. Gox, they're going to start selling Bitcoin. The market dumps. And I'm not talking about a dump like you would get in the stock market, right? You don't get this kind of stuff in a stock market. The stock market dumps a few percent. People lose their shit. With us, we go through a 10% dump in one day, and everybody's like, oh shit, well, I guess it's still kind of bear market-ish. But it's okay. It's okay. In a volatile ecosystem, in a volatile environment like that, like I said, what you have to look at is what has the longer arc. Do short-term price movements have the longer arc, or do things that cause or attract long-term mass adoption have the better longer arc? And for Ergo, I think that is it. We have, in fact, grown. We have, in fact, increased in numbers and engagement, and more taking this ecosystem seriously. And I think it's going to continue going. I mean, like I said, look at the Ergo hack. Look at these. Our Ergo hacks aren't getting smaller. They're getting bigger. They're getting more robust. Look at the SIGs. I mean, the SIGs aren't getting smaller. The SIGs aren't, there aren't people leaving the SIGs in droves. People are participating, right? You're building up a treasury. You got all these different things. You're using, in-house products like Paideia. I mean, stuff is moving. Stuff is being used. Tell me how that's going for Aptos.
Yeah, Dan, I agree. I think, with all due respect, the big 3D, I put up another one of your questions here. If you're saying that since the price action is where it is now, the whole ecosystem is at a standstill, man, I'm sorry, but you're completely wrong. The Ergo hacks prove against that. The amount of building that all the community devs do, the dev updates that we cover every week, that is certainly not a standstill, not whatsoever. So, if you're looking to say something, just say what you mean, and that is the price has come to a standstill, not the ecosystem, because the ecosystem surely has not come to a standstill. We're strong, we're building like crazy, and yeah, that's inaccurate, I would say, sir. All right. What else we have here, Dan?
What else do we have? Well, we have Mark the Shark asking us, Oh, well, he's saying, I'm a Python builder, not a TypeScript dev. So building tool in TypeScript is a lot harder and slower. You know what?
Yes, he's talking about MG Pie, Erg Pie again,
Yeah, yeah,
Dan.
yeah,
He's
yeah. I
he's
know. I
pushing
get
you
that.
again.
I was actually having this conversation with MG Pie the other day. When I just started getting into, the dev space, it was back in the 90s, right? So back in the late 90s is when I started, when I was in my early 20s, I was working on one of my first like serious projects for McGraw-Hill. And so we were programming at that point in Java servlets, which is stuff that you young people might not even know about. But it is the type of pain that you will not experience unless you really are in for pain. Yeah. So, we're talking about, we're working with ASP and we're working with Oracle 8 and Java servlets. And so we were building dynamic websites at that point using that dynamic content management system website. And this is back in 1998, 1999. So this is before like WordPress and all this stuff that we take for granted today. This is back when they used to have, McGraw-Hill and their publication Aviation Weekly had to have a staff of like 30 webmasters, as they called them. I don't know if they still call them that, to take the content from the editors and then format it into, so it doesn't look like shit on the website and then post it to the website. So they didn't have viable content management systems. And so we're building that out. It was one of the first jobs I had as a professional, was building out this content management system called ToShare, which was actually one of the first, if not the first, content management system that could actually take a Word file, or you take a formatted file from, most major, Office or word processing applications, and you could upload it to the web to their website that was running the software, and it would actually upload and look good. It would format it, it would parse it. And, this was just not a thing. Plus, it was cross browser compatible, which was also a big thing. Cross browser compatibility was a big problem back then because IE and Netscape at that point, because it wasn't even Firefox, it was Netscape and Internet Explorer, were running kind of two different code bases. So IE had their own Microsoft components that just didn't work on Netscape, on Mozilla, and that like, for example, iframes, they did not work on Netscape. So you had to have this like cross browser compatibility thing that was always a pain in the ass. And so a lot of this stuff had to be built out in scripting languages like JavaScript. And so we were talking about the JavaScript of my days with MG Pie, and it is just, it took me a bit of time to actually like take JavaScript seriously, because back in my day, you would get laughed at if you used JavaScript for anything that even has like, database queries. I mean, literally, so JavaScript back in '99 could actually utilize JDBC, ODBC, but you literally had to put the database address, username, and password unencrypted into a text file that anybody could literally access and download. So there was literally like no security, no encryption. And so I actually tried, I forgot exactly for what, but there was one time I actually tried to build out a portion with JavaScript, and a portion of that required access to the Oracle database. And I'm just like, and people are just like, no, you can't do that. No, JavaScript is not meant for that. JavaScript is just bullshit scripting language. And then, fast forward like whatever, 15 years later, JavaScript is like the thing, and now you got TypeScript built on top of it. You got all this stuff built on top of it. And still, when I really got back into the coding scene, just like, JavaScript, really, guys? Like, really? Is that what we're going with now with JavaScript? I mean, not even like PHP or something. Nobody took PHP to the next level. You stay with JavaScript. Okay. So yeah, I was talking to MG Pie about that. It just took me so long to really just be okay with the fact that we're using JavaScript. And regardless of everything I know about it now, it's just like, I'm like, I still have this, gagging reflex
Trauma.
from
Yeah.
being a dev in the 90s, or like JavaScript. Ugh, don't trust it with anything. Yeah, so yeah, but it's a brave new world out there, and I guess yeah, I have to, old guys like me have to adapt to it. All right, let's see. Let's see. In the 90s and wooden computers. Actually, no, those were in the 70s. We had wooden computers in the 70s. Actually, one of the first Apples were built out of wood.
Yeah, Steve Wozniak. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, it was the first Apple that was built out of wood. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I did have a computer. So I did build it out, and I did build out one computer inside a 70s stereo one time. So I gutted an old receiver that was just dead, and I used the inside to build out as my computer case. So I did do that. This is back before they were. Yeah.
Before they were.
Before they were like getting up there in value. Now people are like, oh my God, what are you doing? I mean, I look at this. I got all these 70s receivers back there, but back in those days, it's like, well, yeah, I'll give it to you for $1 if you want.
Yeah, you see them at garage sales on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a suggestion from Baseless Speculation, and that is that Andy, if you can hear us, to change the title of these weekly AMAs to something like Ergo POW Blockchain Weekly Update and AMA, just to get more of a general catch for external Ergo audiences. I think that's a pretty good idea. It's probably the best idea that's ever come out of Baseless. It's probably the only idea that's ever come out of Baseless. Maybe I'll say that. So good job, Baseless. I'm proud of you for watching and commenting in Baseless instead of in the chat here where we can actually read it. So, well, they got halfway. They got it halfway right, Dan.
So Luke, okay, let's go to this one, because when was C001? I don't know when. Dan, tell us more about the less millennium. Well, okay, so I'll tell you this one story. So this is back in
I'll see you guys. I'm gonna go.
It's okay. You're already going. You're that age. You never stop going. When you change your diaper after this. So back in the 80s was when I started getting to programming, right? And this is back before actually, like I was still in Soviet Ukraine, and I didn't have access to a computer, right? So it wasn't like a thing that people had, unless you were really rich or connected, right? So and we weren't poor or anything. We were okay. My father was a manager of an IT department downtown, so it was, you're right there, twitchy, and so, but we never had a computer at home, because it was just too expensive or too unattainable. And so what I would do is I learned BASIC, and I would write programs in BASIC on a piece of paper, and then I'd give it to my dad, and he'd take it to work, and then he'd punch it into the computer, and then bring the readout back to me that it would give, right, to see if the program executed correctly or not. And so
that's some slow debugging right there, Dan. That's rough.
Yeah, that's really slow debugging. Yeah, by the way, do you know where that term came from?
There were actually moths in the vacuum tubes of the old computers, right? Bugs,
yeah, the ENIAC and UVIAC, they had to actually literally go in there and take out the bugs because they were shorting out the vacuum tubes. Anyway, that was before my time too. So that was like way before my time. That was my dad's time, actually. And so one of the things that we actually used to do back in those days is kind of try to figure out ways to just fuck with stuff that was programmable at that point, because we didn't have a computer, or we didn't have access to a computer. So one of the things that we had in one of the schools that I used to go to were programmable calculators. Now, and this was like really, high tech back in the 80s, right? So it's a programmable calculator that you can actually put in like routines and subroutines into. And so I forgot what language it was using, but I remember I figured out a way to program bowling into the calculator. And so I took this calculator and it had it had the numeric readout. It wasn't like graphic or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was literally a numeric readout on the calculator. And what it was basically I programmed it so the numeric readout does an upside down 9. So it looks like a bowling pin. Like it just kind of
Mm-hmm.
sits like this, right? It's a
Yeah, yeah,
bowling
yeah.
pin. And then you would press the key, and all it was just like a randomizer, right? And so you press the key, and it would just like all the all the upside down 9s would turn into zeros if you hit the pins, and then you would like change. You press what was it? You press 4 to go left, you press 6 to go right. Yeah. So that is some 80s 20th century shit right there. That is some oppressed Soviet raw dogging programming for you people. All right, so I did that. That did happen in my life. So I hope you like that story. All right. Let's see. If the project
Let's
is
do
on a
this. I
blink
already blinked
twice,
twice.
QA. Oh,
I already did. I already
you
blinked
did.
twice.
Oh, you did. That's why you were blinking.
Just
I thought you were having an aneurysm or something. All right.
I just put up a question because I want to talk about this a little bit and
Okay,
not in
talk about
general.
it.
All right. So the question is from Wombo. If you want a political press question, thoughts on Vitalik's post about against choosing your political allegiance based on who is pro crypto. So I can't stress this enough. I'm not going to comment on his paper. I did a quick little scan of the title and maybe the first paragraph this morning. But I can't stress, the amount. So as I think this branches off from what we were talking about earlier about when the big 3D asks this question. But if you're into things that are influenced by large amounts of money and are out of your control and aren't central and aren't decentralized and are centralized, I can completely understand why you would be very worried about the political landscape, about people taking more control of things. Because when you have a system that is controllable, then governments can control that system. So by all means, I understand why people are saying, oh, this one political candidate is favoring Bitcoin or that kind of thing. So that's great. But when you build a system like Ergo, as Joe says, you're building for war, 100%. It shouldn't fucking matter. That's the whole point of this goddamn system, is that it shouldn't matter if the US government hates Ergo or somebody else hates Ergo and restricts it. They can't fucking stop it. That's the whole point of this system. So if I see you complaining and saying, look, these governments need to be friendly, this needs to be friendly, I get it as far as accessibility goes. Okay, yeah, it's much easier to access when governments are friendly with it. But it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't fucking matter. That's my take on that. I mean, come on, guys, we're smarter than this. I have a whole political thing I can go off on one single issue voters, okay, and the amount of things you give up for those single issues that you then supported by candidates, and also about them wielding your single issue vote just for that specific reason and not giving a shit about that in the long run. So I'd say to that, you guys are smarter than that. Come on, you're in Ergo for a reason, most of you. Be smarter than that. Know that Ergo is built for war. Know that fuck those governments that don't accept it or want it. It doesn't matter. It's not going to stop it. It's a peer-to-peer system that can still continue on whether or not some candidate tells you you can't trade it or can't buy it somewhere. It's going to happen. You're going to be able to get access to it. I mean, in the US, I don't have access to it, but I still get it. Same kind of thing. And once all of Ergo is distributed on the chain, and miners are working off TX fees and storage rent and other incentives that are yet to be thought of or implemented, it's going to be a complete peer-to-peer system at that point of exchange of values. So bring it on, fucking bring it on. That I think that would make crypto stronger in that aspect of it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong being single if you're an issue voter. We could be married too.
That's a good point. I should have put a comma in there, Dan. My apologies.
Yeah, you should have. You brought it on yourself. Well, listen, I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
Muhammad Esmer invited us to a cage fight, Dan.
yeah, so I just wanted to leave with that. So we've been invited to a cage fight that might happen in Las Vegas. We'll
I'm
see.
game for it. I think
Yeah.
I look small-ish on screen, Dan, but as you know, in real life, I have a bit of some sort of farm muscle to back up my jib. So I'm happy. I grew up a farm
Well,
boy for
that
the first
yeah, that
15
neck
years of my
head.
life, Dan. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell by this neck head that there's head than these shoulders. So, Muhammad Esmer, come to Rare, and I'll do a cage match with you. We'll sponsor. It'll be sponsored by Ergo, and we'll do it as a fundraiser for Ergo. I'm happy to do
Yeah,
it with you.
yeah, that'll be good. Anyway, cage matches aside, I think this is a good time to leave it off. So
I think
yeah,
so.
from all of us at the Ergo, eye in the sky. Thanks for joining the AMA. Thanks for all the questions. And you know what it is? Same time, same place, same channel next week. And until then, this is Dan from Japan, barely alive, signing off.
Ciao, everybody. Thanks for trying to.